Vicky, first of all, I guess we'll start with episode 1. Overall thoughts on the episode before we jump into little segments here.
I mean, I thought overall it's great. Like, Hard Knocks knows what they're doing from like a cinematic standpoint, right? Like the videography is great. How they do their slow motion. Obviously, the camera quality is fantastic. They know how to script an episode. So like you're always engaged on different parts. And then they also like tie things back. So like they know what they're doing. And obviously this isn't their first Hard Knocks. Actually, it's not even their first Hard Knocks this year. So I expected that it'd be good. I'm just happy that we got, and we'll talk about it, but like there was a lot of Caleb focus on the first one, which I think really helps drive like the engagement. Because at the end of the day, it's a quarterback league and everybody wants to see Caleb. There's other players we want to see and they touched on them as well. And we'll talk about it. But like at the end of the day, we're here to see our rookie phenomenon quarterback, Caleb Williams. So I'm glad they got that in here. And Ryan has a great comment here. The Bulls intro with Caleb was incredible. I'm not a Bulls fan, but the Bulls fan the Bulls easily have the best intro music like all time. Like that gets you hyped no matter what. So tying that with Caleb and the whole slow motion thing is beautiful.
That theme song is greatness. It's tied to it with Michael, Michael Jordan. They talked about Michael Jordan a little bit, I think, or at least alluded to him, because throwing that intro out there was phenomenal. So I want to go ahead and start, since we're talking about probably one of the best parts of the of the show. Episode 1, I think there's a lot of great things we can pick from here. So Vicky, I'll start with you. What was your best part of the episode? And maybe we'll give a second if we feel like it, but what overall, I have mine in mind, but I want you to go first. Let's see if you take it.
I mean, it's a cop-out answer, but who doesn't love that whole Caleb intro? I mean, it's right from the jump. You got the Bulls intro, slow-mo Caleb walking out, and then you see him throwing like in slow motion. I don't know. I tweeted out that one ball he threw, and I know it's one throw, so not trying to over-exaggerate here, but he threw that ball, and it was like a perfect spiral. Like they picked a perfect clip of that. And then also like they didn't just show like, oh, Caleb doing all this great stuff, right? I mean, they did, but they also showed like the vulnerability part right after he did the talent show and he messed that up, which is hilarious, right? They showed him like going through like the struggles of being a rookie, trying to figure things out, and him like talking through things while they played the John Legend song in the background. So I would say that was my favorite.
So the intro.
Yeah, it was probably the best part. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, that one's really hard. I mean, that was probably my favorite part of the episode as well. But honestly, there's two here, and they kind of go together. But I think I like seeing, and it was kind of leaked before. I think that it was a clip that the NFL actually posted on their accounts, was Nick Saban and Matt Eberflus. They go back all the way to Toledo. Obviously Saban coached Eberflus from this episode is what we learned, and a lot of us, I think, probably knew that as well. But I think just hearing them talk, and then also seeing Eberflus, ask questions such as, "Hey, how would you coach the quarterback? How would you, coach Caleb Williams?" And to see Saban's answers, and then to see it in action, because he's like, "Hey, I always stand behind the quarterback," and then it transitions to Flus behind the quarterback of Caleb Williams, getting in his ear. And I thought it was a really cool point when Saban said, "I never critique a quarterback in front of the team, really. It's always like, hey, one-on-one." And I just thought that entire, clip or section of the episode it's kind of eye-opening. There were so many to choose from, but I think that, because it's such an important, Eberflus knows he has to get this right.
100%.
And I thought that was really cool to bring Saban in, not just for Caleb, but for the entire team. I thought that was cool. And then also same thing, Shane Waldron coaching up Caleb. So I think coaching Caleb and seeing both, Eberflus and Shane, put those two together. I thought that clip of him in the training room, along with Shane, just critiquing film on training camp, which is kind of cool. You go to these camps and they are filming, right? Not just Hard Knocks, but the team they're learning from it, obviously. So I think overall, just the coaching Caleb part was really cool to see, because they have to get it right. And so Eberflus even mentioned later on the show when they had that one-on-one, Vicky, which I was about to talk about that. There's so many best parts, right? So we might need to go through here and have maybe two. So I guess I'll round it back up with that one-on-one with Caleb, seeing Coach and him just talk nonchalantly about, I got to do this better. Caleb even admitting, hey, my accuracy, it can always get better. Just seeing these two because that relationship it's going to be make or break. We're either going to be, 5 years down the road, they're still going to be together, or we're going to learn right away in about a year or two if there's going to be, if they're going to be part ways and Flus is not going to be the coach because Caleb's going to be here no matter what. So overall, I guess it's a cop-out answer because I think just the ability to hone in on Caleb and even the relationship with Flus.
That's where I was
really,
going to go.
Really cool to see.
I was going to say the honorable, excuse me. I was going to say the honorable mention for me was the relationship between Flus and Caleb. Now, some of that you got to take not necessarily a grain of salt, but they haven't really been met with a lot of adversity at the moment, right? They haven't lost a game they're supposed to win. Caleb hasn't had a horrible game, so that's when we'll really see like how strong the relationship is. The good thing though about this is that at least we know with Flus and his relationship with other players on the team, he's already shown that because his first 2 seasons have been nothing but adversity, right? There has not been a lot of positivity with this team in the first 2 years, and he was able to hold the team together. I don't know if you noticed, and again, they might just be the clips that they pick, but every time a player is interacting with Flus, it seems like, especially like in the beginning of practice, they're stretching and all that, it seems like they really fuck with the guy. They really enjoy him, you know what I mean? So that is nice to know because just like players with Nick Saban, if you listen to a lot of players that went to Alabama, like sure, he may have been hard and things like that, but they all respect him and look what it led to. So tying back to your point, I think that's huge. Flus is tied to Caleb, learning from a great on how to do that. Someone who's your mentor, your previous coach. Hopefully he's taking some learnings from that, which will help Caleb have a faster start out the gate and then hopefully lead to some success. Because at the end of the day, Caleb's going to be here, right? Caleb
at
more
least
likely is going to be here. Flus
3 to 4 years.
Yeah, Flus, you're like, I don't know. Depends how it goes. So he's really got to make the most of this.
Yeah. No, I think I think that was obviously always going to be a focal point, just seeing the interaction between Caleb, his teammates, of course, the coaching staff. So overall, I think they killed it, during the first episode. Ficky, did you already give your second one? I know you kind of, so you're talking about.
I kind of doubled down. I
like that one.
So it's fine.
Let me go through my notes here because we'll give
before
another.
Before we go, we do have a super chat here from Gustavo Gutierrez. Let me know if I messed it up, but thank you, Gustavo. $2 on YouTube. He said, "I'm bricked up, brothers. Holy shit." I mean, look, that's funny. I think
one of
all
my
of us
favorite tweets,
were ready for this.
One of my favorite tweets. First of all, thank you.
Thank you, Gustavo.
Appreciate it because I think all of Chicago is, but Sadiq from Next Wave Bears, he said that all of Chicago, like Bears Twitter, is treating this like game one essentially. Like
it is for us
of the season, and it really is. And I think that's gonna be for every episode that drops. It was cool, and I was a little concerned. I was like, is this gonna be a 30-minute episode? Because the Giant episodes, right, Ficky, are typically 30-minute, 35.
So they were like more like 45-ish, and then the last one. So the first episode for the Giants, I think, was like a full hour, which was great. But like the other 3 after that were more like 40-ish minutes. And then the last one, which was the draft, was the shortest. It was like 30 minutes. So seeing that it was an hour off the gate, that's the first thing I looked at.
54 minutes. I was like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm making my wife watch this with me. And she loves the Bears for the most part, but she's not like diehard, I guess you could say. Right. Anyways, I said, you're watching every single episode, every single minute. And shout out to her for, sticking with it. She was actually, I don't know what her favorite part is, but she did, I guess I'll bring up the Austin Reed and his family being there, in the stands.
That was
being able
awesome.
to see, because me and you, Fick, and right, I think Jack was here, shout out to Jack, his background right here, our producer. But we were like, all right, let's get this game over with, right? Let's call it. But then you don't see behind the scenes where this family's traveled, right? You get Austin Reed, who's trying to make a name for himself, undrafted guy. It's those things that this series is going to reveal. It's going to touch your heart a little bit because it's like, God damn, you want to see these guys at least succeed a little bit. Okay, Siri. All right, Siri's trying to give her, 2 cents on the episode here. But
but you make a good point though, like, because a lot of these people are fighting for their careers. Like I know from a fan perspective, preseason isn't fun, and we've both said that. But like, there's people literally that might be their last NFL game that they ever play. So like having that perspective, right, I think might make me want to tune in a little bit more. And then also, which they talked about on the show, this would be an honorable mention too, is like Colin Johnson and how well he played, right? So now you have someone where you're looking at like, okay, this guy's been in the league for a minute, right? Maybe this is his chance to fully solidify himself on an NFL roster, whether that be with us or because, just because you don't make it with us doesn't mean another team's not looking at your tape in the preseason and picking you up. So we do love those storylines. And I feel like we're going to Hard Knocks, because they typically do, they're going to find a couple of them, especially based off like how the performances go for the next 3 preseason games that we have. So I'm kind of excited to see who's going to be that breakout type of person or sleeper pick, you could say. Oh, muted. We got him.
We got him. No, I agree with all that. I just thought that was, I think my wife, that was the most vocal she made. I think she, as far as like, like seeing her family there. So no, but it also puts it in perspective, like you said, about all these guys are not just fighting for a spot on the Bears, but to put tape out there. So another really fun, let me see here. I'm punching notes here. I'm trying to make it. Okay. So my other favorite part. This one is very small.
Do we have any bad ones?
Yes, I think we do.
No, I'm just messing. It was really good.
But I want to give my second one because we talked a lot about Caleb. I thought this one with Jalen Jones on the sideline.
Oh,
and it was a small clip, and he was like, what? That throw was nasty, and he was kind of emulating, trying to do that sidearm, and he's like, how did he do that? And he's talking about obviously Caleb Williams. I just like to see the players react to it because you hear, the coach speak. You hear the answers from when they're at the podium. I mean, what are they going to say about the guy? Nothing. But this is, and sure, the mics are everywhere. I get it, but this felt very genuine, shock. Like, okay, that was sick,
Did you see the throw before that he was talking about? I mean, they clipped it together, so maybe it's not that exact one. But if it's the one that he's talking about, it was a beautiful one. That's that one where he side slang it and then side slang. I don't even know if that's a term. You know what I mean? He ripped that thing through, and then you had that sideline, that sideline toe tap on the sideline. Like it's a beautiful throw. They had another one too. I don't know if you saw where it was very short. He did kind of like a run jump, the airman jump, and then he threw a perfect dot. That was fire as well. So, I mean, he's looking the part. So I'm hoping, that translates on the field. I do agree with you though. There's a lot of coach speak. They're not going to talk negative about the guy, but the first time I started to think that like, oh, this is no longer coach speak was first you heard DJ kind of talk about it like unprompted. And then Keenan Allen about like Caleb's throwing ability. Okay. And then you saw Keenan Allen. So when you see people who are great at their craft talk highly about someone without necessarily being asked like, hey, what's your favorite thing about Caleb? You know what I mean? That's from like, okay, you start to get, a trusted source. And we're starting to see multiples of that. So hopefully it translates on the field, but I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. No, I think you're 100% right when it comes to that. Tito, $5 super chat says, I'm soaking wet after that episode. Next week's gonna be even more dope. I really
Tito needs this is from Janus. Let us know if we messed it up, but he said Tito needs a mop and bucket. That's hilarious.
It is pretty funny. That is pretty funny.
I mean, you're not wrong though. You're not wrong.
No, I think it's just it is such a cool thing to see the Bears on Hard Knocks because I was talking to my uncle before the show. I don't know if we're ever going to see this team on Hard Knocks again in our lifetime. I don't know if that, like, maybe that's a little too crazy to say. We might see like the draft process, and hopefully we do. I know the Bears. I know how weird they can be, and I think they just had to do it. That they had no choice here, especially with the stadium coming up and some things they're going to need from the NFL. So I think giving this one in, especially with the hype, Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, the off season the Bears had, it was too much to pass up for the NFL. Yeah. So I think, but for me, I was like, I don't know if we're going to get this again. So I'm going to relish everything, every moment, every episode, every clip.
When's the last time the Bears had this many storylines? You know what I mean? Like you're saying, that's what it is. There's so many things that aligned that gave you so many topics to talk about. There was absolutely no way that they were going to get out of this. I think we talked about it months ago. We're like, the Bears have been dodging Hard Knocks for years. The NFL, there is absolutely no way the NFL doesn't see this and their dollar signs on their eyeballs, right? So you didn't have a choice.